Okay, good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. Thanks for joining us today at our December 10th Tech Talk. My name's Terry Adamson. I'm the Technical Director with Fenestration Canada. And I'd like to thank Open Software. They're our sponsor for our Tech Talks. Sharif and his team over there, we really appreciate their support. So today we are finally launching the size-specific thermal performance calculator on our website. So I'm going to walk you through some of the work that we've done, share where the tool is, and a little bit of information about where it can be used. Okay, so size-specific performance for model sizes and supplied sizes. Let's see if I could get this guy to move. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to talk about what started the conversation, why this has been a problem, a little bit on model sizes. Most people are already going to know what's going on there. Our task groups activity, the language that's in the new version of the City of Vancouver Energy Modeling Guidelines, our calculator, where you can find it. Okay, so what started all of this? So the City of Vancouver, as most of you know, have their own building bylaw, the VBBL. And within that bylaw, there is something called the EMG, the Energy Modeling Guidelines. This is a set of guidelines that manages how components and buildings are designed for energy performance and energy efficiency, intended to guide building energy modelers, designers, EAs, etc., on the process through modeling buildings and those components that are related to the energy efficiency. So within the EMG is clause 3.2, fenestration indoors. Excuse me. Overall thermal performance fenestration doors shall be determined in accordance with NFRC 100. So clause B, if the fenestration or door product is not covered under NFRC 100, overall transmittance shall be based on calculations carried out using the procedures in the ASHRAE handbook, et cetera, et cetera. No big deal there. Everybody's familiar with how that works. Clause A, so the thermal transmittance, it's also acceptable to simplify the calculations by assuming the worst case by using the highest window U value for all the fenestration specified in the project. It's acceptable to area weight the modeled fenestration U values based on the relative proportions of fixed and operable windows and window sizes. And then this clause within clause A, the thermal transmittance for fenestration shall be based on the actual area of the windows and not the standard NFRC 100 size for the applicable product type. This is the clause that's really caused the most difficulty and challenge for the window and door industry. So even though there's three different sort of paths within clause A, this one is sort of being looked at and adopted and applied by most of the designers, EAs, et cetera, that are working on these type of projects. So what this means is that, you can't use your typical NFRC or CSA 440.2 model size value for the design work that's being done. You have to use the actual product. So why it's a problem, right? Most manufacturers are using either A440.2, the CSA path for energy performance, or NFRC 100. These methods are intended to be a way to compare products, never meant to design buildings for energy performance. All unique products are modeled at the same sizes, so model sizes. Building energy efficiency is under greater scrutiny today from designers, builders, government, energy efficiency consultants. Model size results might not provide the most accurate evaluation of the as-built product. As this focus has increased, the variability of thermal performance as sizes change has also come under a lot of review and scrutiny. Generally, products that are larger than model sizes have better performance, while alternatively, smaller sizes typically have poorer performance when it comes to U values, solar heat gain. Some cases, manufacturers have been faced with upgrading their systems after the project's won, adding delays, costs, and in some cases, legal challenges. So members were reaching out to us saying, what's going on with this size specific request? And I don't have those. And the only way I can get them is if I go to an entity that does modeling, certified modeling, and model all of the products that are in this building and in this project. Well, you can imagine there's significant cost, significant time delays in that. And what was happening is in the specification, there would be a U value specified, and then somewhere along the way, somebody would say, no, 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 we want the U value for the actual products. Um, Manufacturers were being faced with legal challenges when they would actually model these products, and maybe they weren't hitting the actual spec that was in the project specification. So a lot of problems came out of this clause. So model sizes, obviously, I'm not going to go into that. Most people know model sizes under NFRC and CSA's programs. So model size is the size that you use when you're doing the evaluation for energy performance for a given product type. If you have thermal data for these sizes, and those are the sizes that you sell into a project, you don't have a problem. You can use those values. They're legitimate for the product as far as size specific requirements go. So a couple of years, well, actually a little over 2.5 years ago, we started a task group to look at this. Again, we were getting a lot of members asking what's going on with this. It's causing me lots of problems. I'm getting asked for these values that I don't have. So we launched the task group. We had participants from the City of Vancouver, province of BC, because the energy modeling guidelines are also referenced in the BC Building Code. We had several member manufacturers. We had representation from NFRC. Jeff at West Lab participated, FGIA, and lots of other stakeholders that were involved in this conversation. With several meetings, debated fenestration energy performance metrics, the precision, the accuracy, model and size specific variations, what tools were already available. We looked at some of the mullion and reinforcing impacts, limitations, and the possible solutions to that, which I'll mention a bit later on. So out of all of that conversation and meetings and back and forth, the City of Vancouver drafted a new set of energy modeling guidelines, so version 3.0. Those came into effect, published in the VBBL September the 15th of this year. So 3.2, again, that's the clause that deals with fenestration indoors. Methods listed in this section shall be used to determine the thermal transmittance and solar heat gain coefficient values of fenestration products, be used in building energy modeling. These methods reference the following industry standards. So ANSI, NFRC 100, NFRC 200, and then of course CSA for 40.2. So anytime that you see the reference to NFRC 100 within the EMG or in our conversations here, it can be either of those pathways can be used to get those numbers. That's what that says. So methods A and B are for fenestration products that fall under the scope of NFRC 100 and 200. Thus, all the products have certified thermal transmittance and solar heat gain values, tested or simulated under NFRC 100 Table 4.3, which is the model sizes from accredited labs or professionals. So method C is for fenestration products that do not have this certification, products that require additional modeling outside the scope of NFRC 100. This can be due to things like structural components, elements that might not be captured within NFRC or CSA for 40.2. So that would be somebody that's not done modeling through NFRC or CSA and would go to a certified modeler, simulator, and have that entire project and all of the products modeled for thermal performance. So that's method C. So method A, standardized size method. This method allows certified thermal transmittance and solar heat gain values to be used in the building energy model, regardless of the actual product sizes or configurations within the project. So this is what used to happen. Guys would just take the labeled values. They would use those to do the building design work and the modeling for the building. So that's current labeling values. Of specific note, as we move through the launch of our tools and the new energy modeling guidelines 3.0, method A, which is the labeling method, is going to be phased out over the next couple of years as the tools from NFRC and CSA, or sorry, NFRC and Fenestration Canada are brought into use, enabling method B, which is that path using the tools. So further details on the phase out of method A will be confirmed once these tools are available. And that's going to come from the City of Vancouver on what that final timeline is going to be. But eventually, you won't be labeling those products in these buildings. You'll be using this tool or method C, full modeling, for size specific products. Um, sorry. So method B. So standard size scaling method. This method allows for certified thermal transmittance and CSA solar heat gain values, sorry, to be best scaled or extrapolated to the actual product size used in the project. So this is the tools, NFRC's tool or Fenestration Canada's tool. Scaled values should be calculated using that methodology, and that methodology is built into these tools. Method B's calculated values may be derived using these tools approved by NFRC or Fenestration Canada to provide thermal values for energy modeling should be analyzed using certified values from NFRC, their CPD listings, or the CSA energy listings. And then good engineering practice shall apply when considering the impacts of structural components that are not included in the NFRC scope, which only includes built-in structural elements. Other structural components like reinforcing and couplers that might impact the overall thermal performance. So if the energy designer or the EA determines that there are potentially other components within the products that would impact that final performance value, they could look at doing actual modeling of the products and those components to get those values. Basically, method C, where you would model all of the components and all of the products within the project. And that's method C. So I'm not going to go into that. Just basically how it's a little bit of how it's done, some of the information that needs to be included. That's where you can find the guidelines. So the new version 3.0 for the City of Vancouver's modeling guidelines, it's a PDF. You can grab it from that URL and give it a read so that you understand what the requirements are. So the Fenestration Canada calculator provides quick calculations for non-model sizes with results based on NFRC's or CSA certified model size thermal data. And all of the verifications and the modeling and the trials that we did with the tools, we came within about 2%. Typically, I don't know that anything was worse than 2%, but within the 2% of the actual NFRC or CSA values when we were doing this work. Group agreed this was close enough. Everybody that was involved in these conversations felt that that was reasonable and that that level of precision slash accuracy was acceptable. NFRC has also created a calculator that does this same scaling work. NFRC's tool does one product at a time based on the CPD listings only. So if you're using CSA, you wouldn't be able to use NFRC's calculator. And that tool can be found there. So tools, nfrc.org, alternative size tools. So the Fenestration Canada tool. So I can't give enough thanks to Jomo Layton over at Layton Consulting and his team. Their work on the creation of the tool and all of the evaluations and the user guide work. They were just instrumental in making this thing come to life. Reality is, had they not been on board, it would have taken significantly longer than the time that we've spent on it. So appreciation and props to them. They did a fantastic job. So I'm going to give you just a real quick rundown of how the tool is set up and how it works. So you go through some initial setup, you create some IGU data, product data, some geometry, which is now your size, site-specific values. It generates a summary, and then it also generates an actual PDF report for the entire project. You can toggle between metric and imperial. You can do some data save that's saved on your browser. It doesn't save versions per se independently, but you can do some work and then go back and pull your browser history and pull data back that you've created. So again, you just create a basic setup. The project's name, where it is. You're going to want to put the manufacturer in here. You could have multiple manufacturers. So if you have windows from one company and doors, that kind of thing, you can create different manufacturers. You can create dealer information. You can put in images of the project. You can put in company logos to dress it up. to create a nice report when you're done. So building an IGU, so you're going to want to give it a name, right? Typically you see this in shop drawings where you can have GL1, what type of unit it is. So this particular case is dual. You can do duals and triples. I think there's some other ones in there as well. You describe the makeup of that. Again, you can toggle back and forth between metric and imperial, and then you put in the center of glass values. So when you're building the IGU, you're going to want to be building it based on the same IGU makeup that you're going to be pulling from your NFRC or CSA listings. Those have to be the same. The center of glass values can be pulled from your NFRC or CSA reports, or alternatively from the International Glazing Database from Lawrence Berkeley. So then you build a product, right? So you get, this is a certified NFRC or CSA listed product. So series casement type product, which path you're using, the CPD or CSA listing number, again, toggling back and forth. And then you're going to put in the U value, solar heat gain, and VT from that specific CPD listing. And then this is where you start building some products from your project, right? So again, you select the same series of products as your listing. You would select the same glass. You can, again, you can create multiple glass IGU types if you have different makeups within the project. And again, as you do that, they have to be the same as the listing that you're going to be pulling that information from, metric and imperial. And then you plug in the new sizes. So these are size specific, site specific sizes. And then you can put in how many. So you can do obviously multiple products on a given project. A window tag, so W1, W2, D1, D2, etc. And then you can also create by elevation, which is a really unique feature. So you can either do this in your setup, you would decide which way you want to go. And then you can create each elevation. So you can do solar heat gain based on a south or west or north or whatever, or you can do just the entire project as one complete project without elevations broken out. So a really interesting feature if you're working to try and manage your solar heat gain on specific elevations. So when you're doing projects and size specific projects and products, you need to break it up because these are all based on models within CSA or NFRC. So what you would do in this specific case is you would pull that, this has a casement in the center, so you'd pull that out and you'd put in the size for that, then two of those and two of those that are fixed products. So what you would do is you use your center line of your mullions and your frame edge to get those dimensions. So you would plug in two picture windows at X wide by X tall, two picture windows X wide by X tall, and a casement operator by X wide and X tall based on those center line and heel dimensions. So then you would, after you've plugged all of these in, and I put in, obviously very limited, I put in the casement and a picture window based on what we had just seen. And then this will create, whoops, sorry, it'll create a summary. So it'll give you the area of glazing. It'll give you the average U value for those casements in the project, the average solar heat gain, and the average VT. Same thing with the fixed, and then you can generate a report. So again, you can include some images, things like that in here, but this is a full report averaging out all of the products for those metrics. So this is the IGU data. And again, you could plug in as many as you need that are different. And these are IGU data based on the IGDB, International Glazing Database, for U factor, solar heat gain, and VT. The product data, again, so this is an average of all of those specific products that you put in. And then size, site, so sorry, those are listings. So NFRC or CSA values, certified product data. And then your site size specific. So again, these are the product sizes that you generated, that you plugged in, and again, based on elevations, if you chose to do that. And then it generates a summary. So it's going to give you an average product, average values across the entire project. And then it's going to give you project average values. So product averages and project averages. So, as I was going through this, a lot of questions were coming back. Well, what's the impact? And you can break out, plugging in a single product and run the numbers and see what happens to a single product rather than averages across an entire project. But what I did is I took an aluminum thermally broken patio door system from a member with NFRC listing. So model size, so 2000 by 2000. It was a 1.65 U value, a solar heat gain of 27, and a VT of 49. And then I plugged that in at a 10-foot by 8-foot. And you can see what that impact was. The significant drop in the U value, a slight increase in solar heat gain, and an increase in the visible transmittance. And then I went the other way. So I plugged in one that was smaller than a model size, so 5-foot by 6-foot. And again, you can see, pretty significant changes in the U value, specifically about 13% when I went down, and about 15% when I went up on those sizes that I used. So pretty significant impact. What we did see is that the impact was more pronounced when you were using metal products, aluminum products, thermally broken products, where we saw a more significant variation than we saw in PVC and fiberglass products. But again, there was still some pretty significant jumps or degradations depending on which way you went. So today's launch day, province of BC is expected to adopt the City of Vancouver Energy Modeling Guidelines 3.0. We've been speaking with the folks over at the Building Safety Standards branch of BC. They've kind of put this on hold as they work through their amendments for early 2026. They still are planning to adopt that, but I don't think we're going to see that as early as we did see. So they're going to continue for now with the version 2.0 that does reference size specific. So if you're outside of the city of Vancouver and you're working in the province, you may see this as a path, as an um, alternative solution that you could work with your building energy designers or maybe EAs that would accept this pathway. But eventually, we do expect to see this change in the province of British Columbia as well. Um, we've also been sharing this conversation with the folks at the Toronto Green Standard. They do reference the Vancouver Energy Modeling Guidelines in their work. So they have shown some interest in it. Whether or not we'll see them adopt version 3 and the use of our tool, we'll see how that plays out down the road. This is currently focused on larger buildings, MERB type Part 3 buildings. But I can see as this moves along and you start to see more energy designers and energy advisors utilizing this tool and this path, I could see this working its way into the Part 9 world as we move along. Um, Vancouver projects permitted after September the 15th will be able to utilize the tool for compliance energy performance requirements for fenestration Part 3 projects. Again, always make sure that you confirm what path is being used before you use the tool or use labeling values as your path to compliance. Is Charlene on the call? She wasn't there when I saw her or when I came on. Charlene, are you on?
Yes,
I was
I'm here.
hoping.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Charlene.
Hi, Terry.
Just wondering if you're able to share with us if City of Vancouver has put together sort of a process pathway or what that looks like for people that are going to be using the Fenestration Canada tool for compliance.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to really tackle that challenge yet, but in the next few months, that's definitely something we'll kind of put a bit more guidance on. And earlier you mentioned the kind of phase out of the other paths. We're going to have to sort that out over the next few months.
Yeah, because this is a September 15th, this is a permit date, right? So I mean, really, projects that are using this pathway are still a little ways down the road before
Correct.
before they would actually be dealing with this process, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we'll keep in touch with Charlene and her team at City of Vancouver, and as soon as we get some updates on what that process looks like and
That's right.
other details, we'll make sure that that's relayed to our membership and people that are
Yeah.
interested.
And I just really wanted to express my thanks again, Terry, to your team and other industry members for bringing this issue to our attention more than 2 years ago and working with us so closely to kind of come up with a solution that will generally improve technical accuracy for whole building energy modeling, but also hopefully make life easier for your suppliers and manufacturers and to work with designers doing the bidding procurement processes. So I'm really
Yeah, thank
happy this
you,
worked.
and
Thank you.
the team at City of Vancouver. We really appreciate their openness and desire to collaborate with us. It was really great. It was a great process. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Uh, All right. Okay, so did I share? Did I lose a? Okay, it looks like I lost a slide somewhere. Um, Shoot. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing for. Okay, so sorry about that. I lost a slide someplace in there. So the tool is now live. So if you go to fenestrationcanada.ca, this is our homepage that you land on. You would go into the technical center dropdown, and in there you can see that you'll find the FenCan size specific thermal calculator. And then right below that is a tab for the thermal calculator user guide. You click on the user guide link and it will open the PDF for you. Very good user guide. It walks you through every step of the process, putting in all the information, how to enter information, and if you run into a problem, what you'll see and how you can remedy that. So I'm just going to click on the tool. It takes you right to that page that I showed you in the beginning. If you go to calculator.fireflex.com, that's the URL for it, but obviously just go to our website, go into the tech center, click on the Fen Calculator link, and it will open the tool and you can work your way through putting in the data, creating what you need to do. On the geometry is where you can select whole building model or elevation mode. So again, where you can put in by northeast, southwest. If you're interested in breaking out the product by elevation, which obviously can be really useful, specifically when you're dealing with solar heat gain challenges that you want to manage. Okay, so that's what I've got on the tool. It's now live, so you can start playing with it. You can start running your own products, find out what those impacts are. We're always ready to help if you're working on it and you run into a challenge or you maybe need a little bit of help with some of the entry data. We're happy to help you out. You can reach out to either Adrian or myself. Um, happy to help you on that. Adrian at fenestrationcanada.ca, Terry at fenestrationcanada.ca. You can reach out. Any questions from anybody on the tool or sort of where we're at today and where we're headed with this down the road? I'm not seeing any. I don't know if I'm just not seeing them or if there isn't any. Adrian, can you see if there's any questions?
Yeah, currently there is none. But I did want to go and make sure we clarified one item you had mentioned. I know that there's been some discussion about whether or not labels would be necessary in the future as we apply for specific size modeling. As far as I understand, for the foreseeable future, you would still need to have labeled products. But this doesn't remove
Yes.
the requirement for having labels. That's an Energy Efficiency Act item.
That's an interesting point. The Energy Efficiency Act does require labeling, and it certainly applies in the city of Vancouver. It's a great point. and something as Charlene and her team, you know, finally get to a point where it's all tool and not a requirement for labeling, how that will play out. We'll make sure that we talk to Cam and his guys at the Ministry of Energy to make sure that we don't conflict on a requirement. Yeah. Very good.
Terry, Amber's got a question.
Yep.
Lee, do you want to unmute her?
I asked to unmute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep. There you go.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions. First, do we suspect or have any idea if we think the National Building Code's going to adopt this path at this point?
I would say there's not a CCR in place. So unless we do that, and I would think that it's a bit of a stretch, frankly,
Okay.
that I wouldn't expect to see it until absolute minimum 2032, or the 2030 code, and then provinces have 18 months to adopt. But I would say more realistically, this would be the kind of thing I would imagine is closer to the 2035 code, because that'll align with where the provinces are probably at in applying net zero to their schemas. So this is going to make more sense as they get closer to that point, is my opinion.
Yeah.
Do we have any projects in the City of Vancouver and BC accepting this method to date? And the only reason I ask is I literally got a request to send something to our engineer today to do project-specific modeling, size reports. So wondering about that.
Well, unless Charlene, you want to correct me, this is now in place as a regulatory item in Vancouver, and because the calculator is officially launched, I, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is now a methodology you can use to meet that criteria.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because a building that would be looking at this today, I would assume would be permitted under the previous VBBL. So, an alternative solution, I think, would be a reasonable path to chase. Um, to say that, look, this is now a viable path in the most recent VBBL. So, can I do this? And that would be something you'd have to work out with, with with the city and with the energy designer modeler on the project. But to me, it would seem like a reasonable, request to use this path.
And that's actually a great point within the current, sorry, Charlene, within the current building code with this amendment. Does that fall under the current building code? And if any projects under the old building code, we follow the old methodology, or with this amendment to the current one, does that take effect to any project that's under the current code? If that makes sense. Sorry, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. That is it. That question makes sense. In terms of the internal discussions, we haven't closed that loop on how this can be implemented by existing buildings under previous versions of the code. But I'll also emphasize that this calculator has been developed with the Part 3 energy modeling in mind. A lot of the projects where we're talking about labeling and kind of the project specific, sorry, size specific modeling, I believe that's in the Part 9 context, but this is something we can follow up on with you or whoever initiated the questions.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Amber. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, there's one here that I'm going to go ahead and type out an answer to. But just for everyone's interest, the question is, in addition to this work, they specifically say to NFRC, but this is kind of dealing with an energy evaluation overall. What work is being done to properly monitor and correct NAFs? From the perspective of allowing rational analysis reviews and calling our projects where suppliers are just putting labels on frames which are over tested. Where whereas there are suppliers following the rules and guiding customers through the process and losing opportunities. It's a huge question. We have a future NAFS group, task group at Fenestration Canada that we will be doing a fair bit of work next year to make sure that we kind of get our own thoughts together on what that looks like. That doesn't actually solve the problem. There's a deeper thread to pull on that. Terry and I both do a fair bit of education around NAFs and how it should be implemented, what the restrictions are. There's almost no amount of work that could be done to solve that problem as it currently sits, but always open to suggestions on how else that problem could be addressed. Terry, do you have anything else on that?
Yeah. I mean, compliance, anybody that's heard me talk in the last 30 years knows my position on compliance and enforcement and the difficulties and the challenges with it. Um, you know, anytime that you can share with us that you're dealing with non-compliant competition, and we can verify that if you can send us information and maybe labeling issues or whatever it might be. We do have a tool on our website where you can actually go and provide feedback that comes to us for us to take a look and see and hear what's going on. The more of that we get, the stronger our appeal can be to the jurisdictions, to share with them that we have a lot of members that are doing the best they can to be as compliant they can, and they're challenged with competition that is potentially, you know, well, I'll use cheating as a loose term. Um, and something needs to be done. We realize that, we know it. I certainly faced it for decades. But the more that we hear from the membership with specific cases, the more that we can raise that, at the HJ level and the government level. So please share any of that you can share with us.
Yeah, and I'll just add a little bit to that. Fenestration Canada has been trying to decide on where we stand when it comes to enforcement. We'll send out a formal bulletin, but just to this question, we do take the role of educator very seriously, and we can see that there are levers that need to be put into place in order for these items to be taken care of appropriately. We are advocating for that. We're working with our different partners across the country to figure out how those partnerships between those that hold the industry accountable and for us as educators to make sure they understand what's required is in alignment. There's some structural work that's going into that now. So another question from Siddhar Sharma. Apologies if I said your name wrong. So this tool is basically writing on existing thermal listings with NRCan or NFRC. I think CSA 440.2. Target to multi-story projects. Part 3 only at this point. Not a question, just an inquiry. The tool can be used for projects outside of Part 3, but it is designed that this whole project was really designed with Part 3 in mind. But that was more the focus. Terry?
Yeah, part 3 today. But I can foresee that EAs and building energy modelers and designers that are using this in the part 3 world are very likely to start saying, well, what about in a part 9 building, where there's maybe some concern or question about what the performance values are for the products in that project. But today, yes, strictly part 3. There was an ask for the non-compliance link. So again, it's in the technical center. I think I'm sharing, right? Under the technical center, you go non-compliance form. Click on that, and it just opens up a form for you to put in some information. You can send us photos of labels, etc. Lay out what it is the concern that you have, and we'll take a look. And again, it's all about getting us more data that we can use to form a position to take to government and AHJs when these things come up. We do see, quite a few of them. We hear from our members that there are problems, and we certainly recognize that. Um, but it's difficult to be honest. It's a difficult argument, and there's lots of reasons behind why it's not always effectively dealt with. So anyway, tech center non-compliance form. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm so happy to see that we're finally launched and live, and look forward to this tool being used to be a pathway through the City of Vancouver's energy modeling guidelines, and the work on building energy modeling as it gains more and more scrutiny. Another question there. The
Yeah,
product
if
has
a product,
NFRC. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
If a product has NFRC certified CPD number tied to one specific glass makeup, but I've tested values for a different glass makeup, can those values be mixed and matched on an energy report? For example, if CPD lists performance for Guardian, my permitted, I do know that NFRC had a program in place where you could substitute glass based on the values comparatively. That's really an NFRC item or CSA item to ask. For us, it's I mean, this tool is based on CPD listings and CSA listings through NFRC and CSA. To use a different glazing makeup to generate your values, for our purposes and for this tool, I would say no. But if that glazing is approved through NFRC or CSA for that listing, then yes. Steve at NFRC is a great guy to ask on that one. Steve, man, his last name escapes me. Anybody know
Ulrich.
FenCan? Who?
Ulrich, I think.
Ulrich, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Ulrich, yeah. So yeah, reach out to him. I know that they had a program in place that they were allowing some of that substitution work. So
Yeah, and just to add a little bit, that program has a pretty fine margin of error, meaning it's really close. It needs to be really close to
yeah,
the energy evaluations that you already had. That I think it was like within 3 decimal places. It was really tight. So I would say if you are swapping between two things, you're probably very close. But again, that does need to go through CSA and FRC as far as making sure you're using qualified products.
yeah, for sure. Okay. Don't see any more. Thanks to Sharif and the folks at Open Janela for sponsoring Tech Talks. We really appreciate their support. Thanks for everybody joining us today. We'd love to hear your feedback on use of the tool as you start playing with it, and what you find, and if there's anything that you find that is problematic. We do plan on doing updates and improving the tool as we move forward. We plan on looking at reinforcing in products to see if that can be addressed. Brady's got a hand up. Go ahead, Brady.
Oh, hey, thanks, Terry. I was just going to add kind of as a last thought. Hi, this is Brady from the City of Vancouver. Uh, Ultimately, we are the compliance body for the energy modeling guidelines and Vancouver building bylaw compliance. If you have any questions that you have regarding compliance, you can go directly to us as well. I'll put our email, green.buildings@vancouver.ca in the chat. Trying to think if there's anything else. I will just say like a big thanks to Terry and Adrian, all the energy modelers, for what took quite a while to bring this all together. It seems like a very sort of simple, sophisticated outcome, but that took a lot to get where we are. So thanks to everyone. Trying to think of anything else in terms of non-compliance. Of course, Fenestration Canada. Adrian, I saw your email. Happy to work with you on that, but ultimately, non-compliance can be directed towards the building officials or to our team as well at that Green Buildings email. And I think that's everything. Maybe last note for part 9, I saw some questions from energy advisors. You're welcome to reach out to that email as well, but I will say my understanding is that Hot 2000 does have some scaling functionality that if you punch in your U values at the standard size, it does scale. I'm welcome to be corrected if I'm wrong on that, but in terms of part 9, the understanding was we were fairly covered from that perspective. So maybe I'll just
I'd
leave
be
it there
really
from sort of
interested.
the
Yeah,
city side.
Brady, that's a great point. And I'm not a Hot 2000 pro by any stretch, but I'd love to hear from the EAs if they do that in Hot 2000 and then do it in our tool to see what those numbers are. That'd be really interesting. I didn't do that comparison.
Absolutely, that would be
So
interesting.
any
If anyone
EAs
wants
out there
some
that want
homework
to do
out
that,
there, yeah.
yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to see that.
Truth test it. Thanks.
Okay. Jomo, thank you so much. Leighton, the team at Leighton did so much great work. We really appreciate all of their support and their work on the tool. We would not be here without your guys' work on this. So thanks. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Send us your feedback and watch for updates as we work through some add-ons to the tool over the next years. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you for all your hard work on this.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye bye.